African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of July 15, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Troop Group improved their tactical position, inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of mechanized, rifle, airborne assault brigades, assault and airborne assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of Petrovka, Alexeyevka, Kropotshchina, Rizevka, and Novaya Sek in the Sumy region. On the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of the Airborne Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a Territorial Defense Brigade in the areas of Volchansk and Okremovka in the Kharkiv region. That the Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 180 servicemen, 5 armored combat vehicles, 6 cars, 8 field artillery guns, an electronic warfare station, and an ammunition depot were destroyed. Units of the West Troop Group improved their frontline position, inflicted damage on formations of 3 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of Borovskoye, Bogoslavka, Petrovka, Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region, and Torskoye in the Donetsk People's Republic. The Armed Forces of Ukraine suffered losses of more than 230 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 14 cars, and 3 artillery guns. 2 counter-battery warfare stations and 4 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the South Troop Group continued offensive actions, improved their tactical position, and liberated the settlement of Petrovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized, mountain assault, airmobile brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of Zakatnoy, Slavyansk, Pleshchivka, Seversk, Janavka, and Konstantinovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 125 servicemen, 2 cars, 2 field artillery guns, an electronic warfare station, and an ammunition depot. Units of the Center Troop Group continued advancing into the depth of the enemy's defense. Damage was inflicted on formations of 3 mechanized, assault, rifle, airborne brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of Novoekonomicheskoye, Novopavlovka, Dobropoli, Krasnoarmysk, Rodinskoye, Dmitrov, Udaknoye in the Donetsk People's Republic, and Filia in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to up to 435 servicemen, a tank, 5 cars, and 3 artillery guns. As a result of active and decisive actions by the units of the East Troop Group, the settlement of Voskresenka in the Donetsk People's Republic was liberated. Damage inflicted on personnel and equipment of a mechanized brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of Novogeorgievka in Dnipropetrovsk region, Timirivka and Poltavka in Zaporizhia region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 185 servicemen, 10 vehicles, and 4 field artillery guns. Units of the Dnieper Troop Group improved their tactical position, inflicted damage on formations of a mechanized brigade, a coastal defense brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of Kamenskoye, Novoandrievka in Zaporizhia region, Sadovo and Nikolskoye in Kherson region. Up to 35 servicemen of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 12 vehicles, 6 electronic warfare stations, and 2 ammunition depots were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groups inflicted damage on the infrastructure of military airfields, assembly and storage sites of unmanned aerial vehicles, ammunition depots, temporary deployment points of Armed Forces of Ukraine formations and foreign mercenaries in 142 areas. 2 launchers of the German-made IRIS-T surface-to-air missile system and AP-18 radar station for air target detection and tracking were destroyed. Air defense means shot down 7 guided aerial bombs, a HIMARS multiple launch rocket system rocket of U.S. manufacture, and 103 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the start of the special military operation, destroyed 663 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 69,593 unmanned aerial vehicles, 618 surface-to-air missile systems, 24,220 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,577 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 27,394 field artillery and mortar guns, 38,192 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.